Well, hey everyone, and welcome to this episode from Luckyfish. I'm Stuart and this is Zaya. Normally we are sailing our reasonably priced catamaran, Luckyfish, across an ocean or around the islands, but this year we stayed in Mongolia to have this little guy and work on the next project, Project X. We'll be revealing what that's all about in a special episode tomorrow, so be sure to subscribe and don't miss it. Now, we left you with a bit of a cliffhanger last week.
Until I'm ready, and then I'm going to buy a phased out moorings charter boat. That's the stupidest thing you could ever do, because...
So let's get straight back to Stephen and Estelle from Catamaran Guru in Florida. Oh, and by the way, I apologise for the video quality in this episode. It's the audio that matters, and Stephen and Estelle have got a lot of behind the scenes information, so enjoy.
I find that, I speak to people and they say, well, I'm going to wait until I'm ready and then I'm going to buy a phased out moorings charter boat. That's the stupidest thing you could ever do, because if you buy a new boat, you have it in the management program. It basically is cash neutral anyway. At the end of 5 years, you are where you would have been if you just bought a moorings boat, and you haven't had any of the benefit of worldwide sailing, the pride of ownership of a new boat, plus you know exactly what boat you're getting at the end. So it makes far more sense to get into a charter program and end up with a charter boat in your hands than just go and buy someone else's old charter boat who have taken all the benefits of the first 5 years. And once you do the numbers, it's quite shocking how much better it is to actually go into like a moorings or Sunsail or Dreamyard type program, the guaranteed programs.
So Chris, how about owners' use and the financial projections that Dreamyard gave you?
So I'm just finishing up my books for last year, and I was pretty impressed with how well I did financially on the boat usage. I tallied up my days of usage, and I had over 160 days of revenue income for last year. So I'll make a pretty decent profit against all my expenses, against my mortgage, against insurance and everything. So it's a legitimate business.
Fantastic. Now, you're just pulling you back on the point there, Stephen, about the depreciated ex-moorings boat that comes out. I would just say that there would be the possible exception of the buyer that's buying that boat to use it full time. I know that's rare, but of course they don't get that option if they go into the 5-year plan with a new boat.
No. They don't. They get a maximum of 12 weeks, and none of them ever able to use all 12 weeks. They'll get, moorings use points. Dream uses weeks or days, but it all distills down to exactly the same thing. They get 2 weeks of high use, which you can convert to 4 weeks of low use. And there's an only use calendar which delineates high and low season. There's no shoulder seasons, just high and low. So you get 2 high, 2 low, and 6 last minute, which with 14 days notice. So unless you're an aircraft, unless you're a pilot with an airline or something, you can't get there because last minute flights are so expensive. So realistically, you're looking at 6. A guy who really uses his boat will get 8 maybe, but you're looking at 2 to 6 weeks realistically of use. So you're limited to that. You can't use it indefinitely. We have a separate program, which is the tax program, where you can define the layout of the boat. You can decide you want a 3-cabin. You can decide you want it to be based in the BVI. You want to define that you only want it to be chartered 12 weeks a year. We have ways to limit the usage, and you can use it as much as you like. The downside is you don't have worldwide reciprocal on that. You have to use your own boat. And if you want to take the tax breaks, there's some pretty strict IRS rules that we have to comply with, because if you use it too much, then the IRS will say it's a hobby loss and they will disallow your tax breaks. So it gets complicated. But if you want indefinite use performance, if you want to have a lifestyle with no risk, it's guaranteed because the Dream pays everything and gives you 9% per year, so it's totally cash neutral. If you think, I don't want to own a whole boat, we have fractional. And then, of course, if you want to go cruising and we find for guys who want to buy a boat and go cruising, we have the brokerage side, which we find non-charter boats, 3-cabin versions, etc. They're pretty expensive boats, but if you buy right, you can end up with a really good boat to go cruising that instead of having to go through the whole charter process.
Excellent. Just going back full circle back to the millennials again, because the luxury yacht skippered charter thing is a separate entity again to the kind of bareboat stuff we've been talking about. How Dream are managing that too? Are they? Are these people going? What are they? Did you say they're kind of like setting up a mum and pop operation, and then Dream comes in and buys it? Can you fill me in on a little bit more detail around that sector?
On the luxury crude, what happened is that we found a need developed for people in their late 30s, early 40s who were looking for new careers. Mostly you'd find they were engineers or working for big oil companies or something, and they really had saved money and they're looking for new careers. So we developed a program where we could buy them a brand new boat to what they needed and put it onto the Dreamyard platform. Dreamyard has about 1,000 booking agents worldwide, so it's got massive booking horsepower. So we took some of that booking horsepower, and instead of chartering a bareboat, you chartered a crude boat, luxury crude. So that really developed, and we now have a lot of very successful small businesses that are operating their own boats. Age group is 40s with their own operators, and they're probably doing 15 to 20 charters a year. Average charter fee is $15,000 a week. They're probably netting out of that about 12. So you can do the numbers.
That's on a 45-foot.
That's on a 45-foot
catamaran.
catamaran. So
now, so are they anything to do with Dream? Because Dream, if they've got the 1,000 booking agents, they'd be taking a fairly big slug, wouldn't they, in terms of the the agency fee?
Yes, that's correct. Dream is the calendar holder. So if you take a look, if you take a look at a privateer will work with all the different brokers. The different brokers will take 15 to 20%. The clearinghouse will normally take 2%. So they have a potential of 22% commission they will pay industry. Dream takes 20. If they book in-house, they take 25 if there is another broker involved, because Dream has to pay the broker. So they're giving up 3%, about 3%. But where Dream has changed the game is they've said, look, if you go out and you market and you source a client, you only pay 10%. So if you dollar cost average it, it's actually cheaper to be on the Dreamyard platform with all the safety net and security than it is to be a privateer. And right now, all our crude boats, they left the BVI, they went to Martinique. From Martinique, they went down, they're all sitting in Grenada. They have a home everywhere they go. They have a base, they have infrastructure, they have technical support everywhere they go. So it's hugely successful. I don't think there's a competing product that can really compete, once you get to the guts of it. So that was the first one, right? So
yeah. Well, the really nice thing, we encourage first-time people who want to do this, encouraged to go with Dreamyard. Like we said, you can do that on your own, but it's really, really hard to break into this market because there's just, really good people. They know them, the agents know them, and they prefer to book with the people they know. So if you come in as a newbie, you will be very lucky to do 5 charters a year. Very lucky.
The newbies starved to death the first couple of years until they developed their reputation. With Dream, I mean, there was a guy that came in, a couple that came in, but they were exceptionally good, I've got to say that. But they did 23 weeks the very first year. It's unheard of in the industry.
Yeah.
So using the Dreamyard infrastructure was massively beneficial. And we have people now that have used boats. The model with Dream is you have to buy a boat. Dream has to represent you in some way, shape, or form in the purchase of the boat. That's the model. So you can't just say, I bought a boat from the local dealer and I want to come into your fleet. Dream will not allow that. You have to be a Dream customer to get into the fleet.
Yeah, no, that takes a little while, a few years if you're an owner-operator to build up that return custom. But it does become quite a substantial part of your business. I don't know what your latest experience is, but certainly in my day it was around 30% we could expect to be coming back each year. It took a few years to build it, but people sort of fall in love with something that they're familiar with, as long as the service is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Dream are really powering it, and it sounds like it's because they've stitched up the marketing side of things, as you say, 1,000 brokers operating worldwide. I mean, marketing's everything. So 20% is probably cheap for the utilisation that you're getting.
Well, the high end is 25.
Right.
The high end conventional is 25, and then it reduces depending on situation. But look, if you're starting off and you think, well, I'm going to start as a privateer and go and kiss everyone's butt to get some business, you maybe get 7 weeks a year. If you're lucky, you're starting off Dream with 15. You got double the business anyway, and there's a safety net. You're not on your own. So it's for the millennial type or the owner operator type. It's a great option.
Yeah, and like we keep telling people, look, if you want to leave the safety net, as we call it, by all means, but none of them do, because it's just so much easier not to have to deal with the whole infrastructure of setting up the business and getting the business and keeping a calendar and follow up on clients and so on and so forth. So I think it works out for everybody.
Sure. So the only stipulation is that Dream must provide the boat.
They must touch the boat in some way. If it's a brokerage boat, then we want to represent them as their broker. Right. If it's a new boat, obviously they have to buy it through the Dreamyard dealership. I mean, there are exceptions, but truly that's the model, and it's getting more and more rigid. So I would say that's the rule.
Yeah. And obviously, because Stephen and I do it ourselves, we do seminars on our own boat, weekend seminars where we teach people, all about these programs and how to operate a boat, etc. So we see where the need is and then develop a program for that. So we constantly changing things, but
yes.
It's as a whole, Dreamyard is a lot more structured than in the other parts of the world.
So Chris, you told me that this was part of your retirement plan. Tell us about that.
Well, I think when the boat's ready to come out of the charter program, we'd like to take it over full time. Maybe we'll continue to charter on our own a little bit as a small mom and pop business, but we'll definitely want the boat more for ourselves. So I really wish I would have started this program 2 or 3 years earlier, so if I retire next year, the boat's ready to come back to us.
Well, we actually just sold our Lagoon, and we've just purchased a Bali 5.4 by Catana,
yes.
which we'll be picking up in October and sailing
pretty exciting.
During the ARC. And we'll be using the boat for liverboard seminars.
Great, yeah. Oh well, good luck for that. Exciting times. That's a big catamaran. My goodness.
Yeah.
It might be. We might have actually bought one too big for ourselves, but we'll see. We'll do the ARC. It's 54. It's huge. I mean, it really is a lot bigger than we ever thought we'd get to, because cost of ownership spikes. Dockage, insurance, maintenance, everything.
I should have started by asking you what catamaran are you on, and how long have you had it currently?
We're on a Lagoon 450 Sport Top right now,
which we love. We love that.
Fantastic. Been an absolute wonderful.
It's a great liverboard boat for a couple, and like we said, a lot of these guys who do crew charter have those boats, and so perfect for charter. Absolutely perfect.
But what happened is that Lagoon sold probably more than 40 boats, 40 of the 450 Sport Tops, simply because we owned one, and we published all the good points, etc. So Bali and Catana saw this. So when it was time to change up, they said, "Right, you're buying the next boat from us, guys." So,
it's a cutthroat business out there. I mean. Particularly amongst the French manufacturers. And are they forming niches? Because I'm seeing Catana sort of move more towards the centre, given that they were performance boats. So the Balis, you wouldn't say so much a performance. Lagoons, I guess Lagoons have got that corner, haven't they? The comfort, let's say. Fountaine Pajot, I don't know, where are they placed now? Are they finding niches, the manufacturers?
I mean, if you want me to summarize them for you, I've been to all the factories. I've seen all the manufacturing. Lagoon, from a value perspective, still lead the pack.
Interesting.
Their quality is pretty good, and their interiors are great. And some of their boats are pretty swift. I mean, the 450 is a fast boat. We competed in regattas with it and actually won. So they rate well.
Multiple times.
They rate well. Fountaine Pajot
and just one more thing is that their second-hand value is excellent.
Lagoon resale is good. So your exit strategy is great. Then the next guy down is FP. I think FP are still evolving. They've got some really pleasing designs. They sail pretty well, and they're a middle of the road guys. I don't think they have the Lagoon quality yet. And then Catana started the new Bali range about 6 years ago. I was involved right in the very beginning, and they built boats that were just horrible. The quality was terrible. Everything. If you told me 5 years ago we would own a Bali today, I would have just burst out laughing at you. But I've watched them develop, and they've now used all their Catana DNA. The Catana DNA slowly moved into the Bali range now. And so you're starting to see really, I think that in terms of interior finish now, FP and Bali are about the same. But the Bali is definitely a better performing boat. I believe that they've discovered the next wave. I see all the guys, they're building, the foredecks are going further and further forwards, and the nets are getting smaller and smaller.
Like the old Prouts. I don't know if you know.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I know, absolutely.
They were all solid foredecks. So I think that Catana won the race to the front with their Bali. The one we bought has a solid foredeck, and it's phenomenal. It's the best thing I've ever seen. It's stronger than cross beams and nets.
Yes.
It's dry as a bone. Whereas our Lagoon, if we're pounding to weather, we're wet, man. We're spray coming nets all the time. The construction is, Lagoon are balsa core boats, FP are balsa core boats. Catana have stuck to their DNA. They use Divinycell closed cell foam cord boats. So construction-wise, I think Bali moved to the top of the pack in terms of construction materials and design. But they definitely aren't at the top of the pack in terms of interior fit and finish and comfort. Lagoon still hold that position.
Yes. Are they all core below the waterline, these boats?
They all say no, but they are. The core goes probably a good foot below the waterline on each side. A couple of years ago, I was involved with Prout in the early days, and we were there with Diab, and we did some impact testing, and we had panels of aluminium. I can say aluminium to you.
Aluminum.
West epoxy systems.
Us Southerners have to stick together. Come on.
Really?
We had solid laminate. We had West system. We had vacuum bag cores, and then we had infused cores. And I discovered that because the old school is, you can't be cored below the waterline. I think that's nonsense. I think it's absolute nonsense, because what I witnessed there was incredible to me. I mean, aluminium got a big dent in it. West, the pin went straight through. Solid laminate, the pin went straight through. Vacuum bag core, which is not infused, it's just you lay an outer skin, then you vacuum bag the core on, and then you lay another skin. 2 hits it was through. After 5 hits on the vacuum infused foam core, it still was not through. So what I saw was that below the waterline, I would much rather have vacuum infused foam core boat, because it behaves like a solid laminate when it's vacuum infused.
So the Bali's foam, I take it, not balsa.
The Bali's, we were in the factory, and you see Catana and you see a Bali. The Katanas are black inside because they're using carbon. Yes. They're in the same factory. They're next to each other.
Right.
And the Balis are all white because they're using regular fiberglass. But yeah, all foam core, the Divinycell closed cell foam. So the DNA of Catana has crept into the Bali. So we're very comfortable with the Bali right now. I don't think it's as good as Lagoon interior finish, but I think it's far superior in performance. They're very
good. So you'll be taking out some more regattas shortly.
Well, we're going to hope to do very well in the Arc. Keep an eye out on us.
Oh, very good. Very good. Yeah, I will. Look, guys, let's wrap it up there. Thank you very much for the time, and I've got to say it was a really informative chat. You've given me a bit to go away and think about, and as I say, I will come back to you with any questions, probably just by email. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Stuart.
Okay.
Nice
Care,
talking to you.
Nice talking to you.
Yeah, likewise. All the best too with the new boat.
Thank you. All right.
Well, everyone, you can find links to connect with Stephen and Estelle from Catamaran Guru in the video description. To find out how all this ties into Luckyfish, Project X and you, be sure to tune in to the special announcement tomorrow. Please give the video a like and leave us your comments and questions below. As always, a huge thank you to our patrons who make these videos possible. See you all tomorrow.